Benning is still doing item 6.
Oh, it could be her.
Number item 5.
No, they changed it, so these are the updated ones, so it doesn't say, so,
Sierra Vista City Council meeting for October 8, 2020. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Rick Mueller,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Rachel Gray, Councilmember William Benning,
Present.
Councilmember Gwen Calhoun, Councilmember Sarah Pacheco,
present.
Councilmember Carolyn Humphrey,
Present.
Councilmember Christine Wolf.
Present.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'll just mention that Mayor Pro Tem mentioned and said she was feeling a little under the weather. That's why she's not here. In the absence of Gwen Calhoun was something that was discussed on Tuesday, so that's why she's not here. Okay, so we'll go on to the next items are the invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, the invocation will be led by Pastor Becky Priest of the Hope and Healing Christian Church, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Benning. Will you please rise?
Father, your word teaches us that wisdom from above empowers leaders to reign, rulers to make laws that are just, provides insight into wise plans, and empowers us to live by what is right. Wisdom from above is unquestionably true, will never lead us astray, can be trusted, contains no twisted logic or perversion of the truth, is always clear and straightforward to everyone who possesses spiritual understanding. True wisdom is more valuable than silver or gold, so priceless that it exceeds the value of any jewel, and nothing we could wish for can equal her. Wisdom imparts understanding to those who will listen. Please give us tender, attentive hearts to hear, so that we will be prudent, wise, and have understanding hearts. The meaning of wisdom's words will release within us living understanding, courage, strength, and true success. Father, I ask for you to impart wisdom to everyone in a position of authority that is here, that they would make wise decisions that will benefit the people of this community. I ask you to bless and protect them as they serve, and to cause the people in this community to cooperate and help them as they do what is best to serve this community. In Jesus' name I pray and believe all of this is done. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
Please be seated. Thank you very much, Pastor, and thank you, Mr. Benning.
Thanks, sir.
We now go to item 1, acceptance of the agenda. Councilwoman Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda for the regular city council meeting of October 8th, 2020 be approved as written.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any additions, corrections, amendments? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to awards and presentations. We have a presentation by the Disabilities Issues Commission, and following with a proclamation declaring October as Fire Prevention Month. So could I ask the representatives from the commission and the folks who are receiving the Vista Ability Award to the Sierra Toyota to meet me in the front. Thank you.
Tongue teaser. Yes, sir. You can come out further if you want, whatever.
You don't have to hide.
Mr. Mayor will show you.
Well, congratulations, and first from the commission, anybody would like to explain what the Disability Award was and why Sierra Toyota was so worthy of to receive it?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will say a few words, a little bit about what the award is all about, and then I'll turn it over to the individual who actually nominated Sierra Toyota. So what the Sierra Vistability Award is all about is it recognizes those businesses and individuals that kind of go above and beyond what's required by them by federal and state law when it comes to accessibility and accommodations for those with disabilities. And in this particular night, we're recognizing Sierra Toyota because they did provide an app for their customers, which allows them to to schedule appointments, allows them to pick up their customers and take them back to their homes without having to talk to any individual at the dealership. And for those that have difficulty speaking, that stutter, this has been a lifeline for some of those folks. So that's why we're honoring them tonight.
I'm the person who nominated, the Sierra Toyota. I, number one, stutter, and I also have a speech impediment when it comes to certain letter combinations. And so with my road name, I can never, pronounce it as to where people can understand it. And so with this smartphone, the app, I just punch in all of my contact information, and basically this for me has been priceless in what it does.
Thank you. It's my privilege as mayor to award on behalf of the Commission on Disabilities issues this certificate of excellence to Sierra Toyota. So congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you, and we'll give you an opportunity to make any comments you'd like.
Yeah, I'll just say that certainly when Casey took over in I believe it was 2018, we, I think as a group of managers and ownership, made a conscious decision that we wanted to embrace technology and move forward with all these different tools. And certainly the Quick Ride application, we've been at the forefront, working with those folks to help pioneer what is now their pickup and drop off and all these other things that we have coming in the works. But to get direct feedback from somebody like Brenda and many other customers, certainly I as well sometimes suffer with difficulty speaking or social anxiety or whatever the case may be. Some people don't like to communicate, and I think it's been great for everyone from the older guests to, maybe you have a 16-year-old, but just very happy that the customers love it, and that's all we're trying to do.
Well, thank you very much, our client Brenda, and also Gabe, who brought the initiative to this program. And as I want to just to share with you 4 principles that we have. We call number 4, everyone at our dealership. And number 1 is to welcome everyone. Number 2, respect everyone. Number 3, honor everyone. And number 4 is serve everyone. So I'm so glad that we were able to serve a client like Brenda and all the other rest of the clients who will need our assistance. We're glad to do that. And also we're grateful for City Mayor for recognizing this great effort by a team. And we hope will be continue to becoming a vital business for this community, because this is where we have our business and this is where our clients live, and we want to become a greater part of this community. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you and congratulations. Thank you. Next up, we have a proclamation for Fire Prevention Week. And Chief, if you join me. I'm going to move this mask down a little bit so I can be heard a little better. So please excuse me. And we are 6 feet apart, right? Okay. On behalf of the citizens of Sierra Vista, it's my great honor and privilege as mayor to offer the following proclamation. Whereas residential fires are a serious concern in the United States, as fire departments respond to over 357,000 home fires, which result in the deaths of more than 2,630 people annually. And whereas cooking is the leading cause of home fires in the United States, where fire departments respond to more than 173,200 annually between, or have responded, I should say, to more than 173,200 annually between 2013 and 2017, with 2 out of every 5 home fires that start in the kitchen resulting from unattended cooking. Whereas first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection, education, to inspection of smoke detectors in the homes. And I think October is the month we're supposed to be doing our home inspection for our detectors. Make sure our batteries are good. Thought I'd get that in. Whereas the 2020 Fire Prevention Week theme, Serve Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. We urge everyone to check for kitchen fire hazards and use safe cooking practices at all times. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Frederick W. Mueller, Mayor of the City of Sierra Vista, Arizona, do hereby proclaim October 4 through 10, 2020, as Fire Prevention Week in and for the City of Sierra Vista. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Sierra Vista to be affixed. This, the 8th day of October, the year of our Lord 2020, and independence of the United States of America, 244th. Signed, Frederick W. Mueller, Mayor. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor Mueller. Serving up fire safety in the kitchen, that is the message this year. And although we aren't going to be able to get out to the schools like we normally do with our fire and life safety simulator, we have been in contact with the school district and we'll be sending out virtual messages to the schools so the message is not lost. So we are real excited at that opportunity to broaden our horizons on education and looking forward to next year where we'll be able to get out and be with the kids. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Great job. Next, we'll move to the city manager's report. Mr. Patuchik.
Thank you, Mayor Mueller, members of the council. Our next regularly scheduled work session is scheduled for the 20th of October, 3 p.m. Here in the council chambers. And of course, your next regular meeting will be Thursday, the 22nd, 5 p.m. also here in the council chambers. A few projects tonight, the Coronado Drive pavement replacement project, part of the annual street maintenance. Bids were received on September 8th, and it was awarded to KNG in the amount of $711,000. And just so everybody knows, that's the curve from Mormon to Fry Boulevard, which everybody drives on and knows it's pretty well beaten up, so that will be a good improvement. We discussed Tuesday the web portal project for the Upper San Pedro Partnership, and the public engagement portion of that was awarded to the Gordley Group in the amount of $33,000. The City Hall North Wing remodeling project work is going on and progressing very nicely and should be done by the end of the month. And finally, this morning I attended the CCOM JPA board meeting, and we discussed the emergency medical dispatch kickoff and the improvements there, and they're hoping to set up a demo for also for October 20th, and as soon as we get the details on that, the council is invited to go over and see that demo, so that is coming up. And then the county applied and received a grant for the Motorola software upgrade in the amount of about $160,000. If you'll recall, that project was about $750,000 hit to the CCOM budget this year, so the city and the county will benefit positively from having that be part of the CCOM budget this year. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor Mueller.
Thank you, Mr. Patuchik. Any questions for Mr. Patuchik on his report? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Just, do we have a meeting in between now and, I was trying to find it in my email, but I just remembered seeing something that,
I believe there's a special.
We have a
executive
special meeting to do the city manager's year evaluation coming up, if that's what you're thinking about.
yeah, okay.
That's the
And that's the
27th.
20, oh, the 27th, okay.
3,
It's
right?
after, yeah.
3 weeks.
3?
Yeah. And-
Thank you.
And those forms are due to me by the 16th. I'll just mention that again, just so everybody knows.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay? All righty. City manager's report. Next is the consent agenda, item number 2, Mrs. Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda consisting of the city council regular meeting minutes of September 10th, 2020 and September 22nd, 2020, resolution 2020-058 reappointing Barbara Fleming and Gary Smith to the Sierra Vista Police and Fire Pension Boards, said terms to expire August 1st, 2024, resolution 2020-059, release of improvement security for Retreat Phase 2, lots 64 through 69, 91 through 141 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I received the paperwork I was asking for, the
Okay.
updated
Yeah, we saw it.
application, so thank you for
Okay, and thank you.
whoever got that to me.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to new business. Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Excuse me. I move that resolution 2020-060, 2020 Title VI Non-Discrimination Plan for the City of Sierra Vista Transit be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mrs. Adams, may we have the staff report, please?
Mayor Mueller, members of council, the item before you tonight is an update, a triennial update of the Vista Transit Title VI Non-Discrimination Plan. The plan before you tonight is not terribly different than the plan that was submitted 3 years ago in October of 2017. It's been updated to reflect the current status of Vista Transit, to correct some names and contact information. Some information was streamlined out because of the pandemic. The Transportation Advisory Committee has not been meeting, so that was noted. When they do get up and running again, that we will provide an update to it through the tram system. These plans are required by the Federal Transit Administration and the Federal Department of Transportation of all of the transit agencies that receive federal grants for the operations or purchases of buses, of which we have benefited greatly over the years, and we continue to look forward to that relationship with the federal government. So we submit this plan, although we have always abided by these federal laws. This is really more a document that gives us a framework on how we're going to do it to the utmost of our ability for the transit system, which does tend to serve a lot of the people who are in the protected classes. At the work session on Tuesday, Councilmember Pacheco asked about sexual orientation and gender identity, and after conferring with the city attorney and doing some research, it is not covered under Title VI, but the other added regulations, federal regulations, generally cover gender identity and sexual orientation under the term sex as a protected class. So this document does cover all of those classes.
Okay.
And if approved tonight, it will be uploaded to the federal website tomorrow, and we'll be good to go.
Thank you for your report. Questions, discussion?
No.
Seeing none?
Oh, can I
Yes,
ask a
ma'am.
question? So we also talked about, even though it may or may, it's not official yet, but we talked about that there is a law going, passed in the House already to put that in a separate class. Is that?
Mayor Mueller, Councilmember Pacheco, yes, it's called the Equality Act, and it was passed by the Congress, the congressional body, in, I believe, May of 2019, and it was forwarded to the Senate. It is still with the Senate. It hasn't died yet, but it is still there, and until it goes through both bodies and goes up to the president, it doesn't become law. But case law and other equally enforceable rules, for the most part, have added those two groups under that term of sex. Specifically for employment practices, you'll see on a lot of the city stuff that when we talk about employment practices, we include them all, because there is court opinion that that is included under that protected class.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to item number 4. Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2020-061, authorization to accept Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety Grant Funding, contract number 2021 PTS 063, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chief Thrasher, may we have your staff report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This resolution is to accept a grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $5,220 to purchase 2 LiDAR speed detecting units. This is part of the Governor's Office Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, where we have deployments to combat aggressive driving. These units are used to detect speed, which is a primary offense regarding the aggressive driving statute in Arizona. So these 2 units will be used as part of those deployments and on our regular patrol for those officers that are certified to use those units. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions for Chief Thrasher? Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay. Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move to item number 5. Mrs. Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2020-062, authorization to accept Arizona Governor's Office of Highway Safety Grant Funding, contract number 2021-AL-031 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chief Thrasher, may we have your staff report, please?
Mayor, members of council, this resolution is to accept a grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety in the amount of $31,829 to pay for overtime and employee-related expenses regarding DUI deployments, the separate DUI deployments that we do as part of the DUI task force. This grant also will reimburse us for 4 portable breath testers that are used as part of the field sobriety testing in the amount of $1,829 as part of the total. These deployments are throughout the county as part of the task force. We just had one recently up in Wilcox to assist and enhance them for the Rex Allen days. But the majority of those are in the Sierra Vista area, and the majority of them are saturation details. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Thrasher?
Do you have Can I ask? Okay.
Yes, ask.
Do you have any, anything, because I didn't ask before, so I know you didn't prepare it, but if anything anecdotally to share about the success of this program?
I can provide that for you as part of the reporting that we have to do to the governor's office. One of our major goals as part of these deployments is to reduce DUI-related fatalities as with crashes, which we were, I believe, was just over 20% reduction last year as part of the deployments. It's one of those items. We made well over 200 DUI arrests, and that's not just the deployments, but that's part of it as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other further questions, discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to item number 6, Mr. Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2020-063, authorization to accept Phoenix Police Department, the primary grantee, Arizona Internet Crimes Against Children Lead Agency grant funding be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Chief, may we have your staff report, please?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is to accept a grant and also sign an IGA to become part of the Arizona Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which is the primary grantee is the Phoenix Police Department. These funds are supplied by the Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Program. The task force primary task are to investigate images depicting sexual exploitation of minors and also to combat not only the exploitation but also the luring of minors for sexual offenses. These funds, in the amount of $5,000, will be used primarily for training new officers that are part of these task force that help with these investigations, and to probably provide some software upgrades for some of the computer systems that we use. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Questions and comments? Yes, ma'am.
Can you share just a little bit more about, this is the first year that we've gotten this grant?
This is the first year we've gotten the grant. We have been part of the task force before, and we do deployments with this task force. I would say more operations with these. So they would be the catch a predator type operations, which we have operated out of Sierra Vista in conjunction with local agencies, including Fort Huachuca and Homeland Security, to identify those individuals that are using the internet to lure children for sexual conduct.
Okay. And how does it work? So you're working with Phoenix Police Department, and who are you working with?
So Phoenix Police Department is the primary grantee, and then we work with all the other agencies that are also part of the ICAC, the ICAC. But the Phoenix Police Department actually operates the grant. So they get all the funding from DOJ, and then they then distribute it to those that are members of the task force for training or equipment or investigations. So we use that as part of Department of Justice employees with Homeland Security, as well as with anybody else that's part of this task force.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now go to a call to the public. First gentleman tonight that wants to address us is Daniel Webster. And Mr. Webster, I'll let you know that you've got 5 minutes to address the council. Once you start talking, there's a series of lights that will come up to give you the time, so you don't have to worry about it. When we get down to it starts blinking red, I will ask you to conclude your remarks.
Very good.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Just wanted to come up for a minute. And I was born in Sierra Vista in '75. As a kid, I hated it. Always said there was nothing to do. And then moving back here 25 years later, I see a lot of parents say we need more stuff for the kids, and being able to reflect a little bit on my childhood, it was fantastic. We built dirt bikes, grew up on Leonardo da Vinci. The new city buildings was a dirt lot, and we'd build tracks and put our allowance money in for trophies and ribbons. And so I kind of talked to my wife and said, well, why can't parents just let their kids go out like the old days and be home at dark, But I started hanging out at the skateboard park. My daughter started skateboarding again, so I got into skateboarding again after 13 years. Thank God I'm in no cast as of yet. But I noticed there's a lot of the teenagers being teenagers, a lot of pot use. And yes, when I call, SVPD rolls through, and I appreciate that, but these kids are smart, and what they have done is they'll just go down in the bottom of the pool, and clouds will come out of the pool. So I'd like to request to maybe have some officers get out on foot, walk through there a little bit, and help keep it a good, friendly, safe place for all of us. I was at the skate park this last weekend with my daughter. She needed to use the bathroom, so I had to take her to the far side of the park. We went over there. There was a gentleman in his car nodding off. I don't know if he was drunk or using heroin or something, but I called just to see if he was code 4, make sure he was good. SVPD showed up again in good time, and I appreciate, but I guess he was pleasuring himself in the car, right outside the bathroom. So again, I love the city. I moved back here after 30 years for a reason. It's fantastic down here, but when things like that happen, it's probably why, that's not probably why, but I can't understand why parents can just drop their kids off, but they probably don't know about this stuff going on. So just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention, and then also convey a little disappointment in the county attorney McIntyre's decision on the Bear Mace incident. I was involved in that. I came to the ladies' aid. Don Firthwar, or however you say his name, pulled a collapsible baton out at me, raised it up, told me I was under arrest multiple times. And in my mind, I don't know a police officer or no county attorney, but that's pretty much assault. Maybe I'm wrong, but I understand that that was a sticky situation with how the police handled it. But overall, just wanted to bring that up to the attention, and a little disappointment. You know, it's 3 disappointments in a week, so I figured it'd be time to come up and just convey that to you guys. So thank you for all you do.
Well, I appreciate you coming up and bringing that. We can't obviously comment on any cases that are ongoing, but we certainly can do a little better enforcement in the park, especially during evening hours.
And I'm happy to make the call too. I mean, if I called every time there was kids smoking weed, I'd be calling every time I go there, 3-4 times a week.
Okay.
But we love the police, we love what they do, and we back them every day. So thank you guys.
And thank you for coming.
Yep.
All right, we next go on to Mr. Michael DiCarlo.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, citizens of Sierra Vista staff, Michael DiCarlo, North Catalina Drive, resident here since '02, voting resident since what? I retired in '08. Somehow I wrote down some Mark Twain quotes. I'm going to work in about 3. Okay. The first one is not the first question I started off would have been like a priority information requirement, like that broad ambiguous thing, right? Why do we have governments? We have governments because not all of us are angels. Okay. And the second one, this is the first Mark Twain quote. An Englishman is a person who does things because they have been done before. An American is a person who does things because they haven't been done before. A little bit of a review. Remember the cycles of government, the liberty and the tyranny end, right? I believe that our last special meeting that we had would have been in the tyranny end because you had a special meeting on a Tuesday. You canceled your Thursday meeting in order to buy property for $200,000. So, I mean, I understand the business of government, but governments are not benevolent. So we got to keep that in our mind here. The second thing, Mr. Mayor, on the 10th of September, 2020, you asked the Assistant City Manager what the Fort Huachuca Joint Resource Utilization Study was, and he played Stump the Chump, and it's no big deal, that happens. But that's more or less a rename of the land use studies for the fort. And when you consider and you intertwine that with the Sentinel program and the huge, gigantic swath of land that comes in with, all of a sudden there's a bunch of overlays, and we're starting to talk about land studies and electronic measurement studies. And I understand most of the folks in here have never worked in electronics before or done any radar work or any ground penetrating radar, anything like that, but I've been exposed to stuff like that. and you should be concerned. And I would actually hope, Mr. Mayor, if you could direct the management to brief the city, the members of it, on what this entails, because it's, in the end result, Big Brother always wins, and you can't fight against that machine, but you can enlighten people's ideas to what that machine is all about. See there, the state of the landscape thing here. I just wrote down some notes today when I had some internet here. It says its purpose is to protect the landscape, which is primarily for cattle and farming, and other grazing activities. So maybe they forgot an H there for cattle and should have been chattel, because that's what we all are in the eyes of the federal government. And that goes into the reason why we might want to talk about this in a broader scale. I understand supporting the fort, but there's a part where in the corporation, the big corporation that gives a crap about none of us, needs to be talked about so people can understand. And sort of a smart aleck comment here. It's a reminder that council members are attempting to preserve humanity in its current habitat without running it into the ground. Whenever you are this goes into a Twain quote here. Whenever you yourself are in the majority, it is time to pause and to reflect. See here. Seems to me that based upon the current projections that CCOM is about a month behind, so we should get about a 1/12 of a refund in that. And speaking of CCOM is a lot like, and I'm not being a smart aleck here, okay? I'm telling you, this is like ground truth stuff, okay? CCOM reminds me of what a soldier needs, okay? A soldier needs to shoot, move, and communicate. Brings a triangle. Who are we at war with? Would be my question. And on that, I'd like to congratulate the chief of police on getting $42,000 worth of grants for the city that didn't come from the folks of the city. And I think at least $5,000 of that is on target. And it'll be a good way to making the community better in the long run. And I've recently done some.
Mr. DiCarlo, your time has expired. I'd ask you to conclude your remarks, please.
Yes, sir, I will. I've recently been doing some research on something that I'm very familiar with. And that would be, as a sailor, submarine sailor, it would be sailing. On a sail, you have a head and you have a foot. I think the part that a lot of you are missing when it comes to this Fort Huachuca stuff is the clue. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and members of council.
Thank you, Mr. DiCarlo. We now move on to comments and requests of council. Tonight, we'll start with Mr. Benning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to congratulate Toyota. Like Brenda, I have a speech impediment, if y'all ain't noticed ever. And I stutter, so things like this really help a lot when you're trying to get some things done, so I appreciate that. We talked about kitchen fires earlier before council started, so you have some that talk to you, some that go off 2 a.m. in the morning. Just make sure they're working. So thanks, Chief, and the rest of the fire department for what y'all do. And congratulations, Chief, for all the grants, helping our community a lot. And then I want to thank Mr. Webster, Mr. DiCarlo coming out and talking to us, and Pastor Becky. And ironically, well, not ironically, I'll use my favorite quote from Mark Twain to follow up with Mr. DiCarlo on what we need to be more to each other. Kind. Kindness is the language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Benning. Ms. Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to wish my favorite Arizona Ranger a happy birthday. My dad.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, he watches all of these, so happy birthday, Dad. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think I have anything tonight.
Ms. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple things. First of all, I want everybody to know and be aware that there has been a voter extension for registration in the state of Arizona. It is now for October 23rd. If you have not yet registered, please do so. Your vote is important. It does matter. And we want to see it, and we do want to hear from you. My second one is this month again is October. It's the Fire Prevention Month. Just super quick, there's a couple things. One, I have actually confirmed with Chief Jones that the batteries are programmed to go off at 3 a.m. in the morning. They will not go off at any other time, but they will chirp so that you have to replace the battery at that time.
Keep checking.
We used to have 7 smoke detectors in my home. We now have 6. Please continue with the amount of smoke detectors that you are supposed to have. And to that end, the fire department will actually come out and help you check them. I believe you do have to make an appointment, but they will come out and help you. And I know this for a fact when my husband was in Afghanistan, and the highest smoke detector we have in our house that cannot be reached by a ladder and a normal human being went off at 3 a.m. and they did come and help me out. So please make note of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a couple of quick things. Flu shots are out and about. Please get your flu shots. We don't need to be combating COVID and flu at the same time, especially us folks that are older. The census has announced that they're going to extend to the end of October. So if you have people that you didn't expect to come knock on your door and they're there, they probably are census workers. So please cooperate and get a good, let's get a good count for the city. And actually we're ahead of where we were 10 years ago already on the quality of the count. So we need to continue to do that. And if I remember right, yesterday actually voting started in Arizona. So please get out and vote. You still have the opportunity to register. So please, as was stated earlier, so please do that and get out and vote. And Chuck, I didn't recall from your report. Did we say Columbus Day Monday is a work day for the city?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
And that's because that day that they work will be given back on the Friday of Thanksgiving week. Okay, so it'll be a normal work day for the city staff on Monday. Seeing nothing else before the council, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.